watching West Hartford Community Television.
You're watching West Hartford Community Television.
You're watching West Hartford Community Television. Yay!
For the community, by the community.
Hello and welcome back to Home Chat, your local show about home, house and real estate. My name is Katja Dunn with William Revis Real Estate in Avon and West Hartford. Today we are going to talk about some environmental issues which we all have in our homes, some more, some less. We invited a company, a local company, RTK Environmental Group. They will introduce themselves just in a little bit. First of all, I would like to wish you also a happy new year. It's 2011, I can't believe how far we came. Also, I would like to say thank you to all of our clients for the business and for their continuous support in 2010. And we are looking forward, Ina, me, and also our associate, we're looking forward to work with everyone in 2011, and we hope we will be a help to you. If you need our contact information, please contact the West Hartford Community Television. And also we would like to thank the West Hartford Community Television, Jennifer, Chito, and all their wonderful volunteers for the amazing work they are doing. So thank you so much for all their work. Before I get started with our environmental issues, I would like to give you some numbers about our real estate market in December. First of all, in December, we had about 191 homes listed. And when you compare numbers with 2008, I would like to compare the homes sold in 2008, 2009, 2010. So you have a better idea where we really were at the end of the year. 2008, we had 89 sold homes in West Hartford. 2009, about 107. And you remember in 2009, the tax credit, which kind of kept the market very active. In 2010, December of 2010, to be very exact, November 1st to December 15th, we sold about 61 homes in West Hartford. So market slowed down a little bit, and I would call that a very healthy and normal market, not the market we know from 2004, 5, 6. Homes have been sitting a little longer, as I said, and when you look at the range, how many homes have been sitting for 60 to 90 days, like in 2008, we're about 21% of the 89 homes. And when you look at 2009, about 17% of all the homes have been sitting kind of between 60 and 90 days. And in 2010, in that time frame, I gave you about 14%. So really kind of got a little better. As I said, some homes are sitting a little longer than others, and there are always things you can do to sell your house faster. Sometimes it's pricing, sometimes it's staging. If you need to be consulted about your listing, you can always contact us. Just call the West Hartford Community Television and be happy to help you, give you some ideas how to sell your house a little faster. I would like to give now Gene the opportunity to talk about his company. As we all know, asbestos, mold, and lead, it's a very big issue, yes. Especially with our old homes we own. Tell us a little bit about you and what your company does.
Okay, first of all, Happy New Year.
Yes,
Thank you
Happy
for inviting
New Year.
us here.
And thanks for coming.
You're welcome very much. Our company is an environmental testing company. We do a lot of residential and commercial testing throughout pretty much New England. Our company's been in business since 1995. I have an office in Newington, and our main office is in Stamford, Connecticut. But right now we've expanded, so we're covering pretty much the East Coast. We've done work from Massachusetts to New York to New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and recently we had a job out in California doing mold work. So we've
even in California.
even in
Wow.
California, yes. Every state seems to have mold and lead and all that. So it's been very interesting. But again, we do a lot of residential work, and some of the things that we deal in with the environmental issues are things people really don't think about on a daily basis. When you talk about asbestos, most people associate that with commercial buildings and commercial properties. But in a typical residential setting, there's a number of materials in a home that do contain asbestos. And if disturbed, it can create the fibers that go into the air, and which can go into your body and become health effects. So there's a number of materials out there people don't really realize what could contain asbestos. So
Some irreversible issues,
yes,
I assume, right?
And I have some pictures today of, this is not your typical house, but it just gives an example of a few materials on the outside of a house. Some of the old asbestos siding. Siding was asbestos. A lot of the materials that you find on a roof, the shingles, the tar paper, the tar, patching materials, all that is suspect material for asbestos. And we could be looking at houses that range from the 1920s all the way up to the early 90s. So it's not just the real old houses.
Up to the early 90s? Really?
Even up to the early 90s, correct, yes. And you have siding, roofing materials, the caulking that you find on windows, the glazing to hold the glass in, that is suspect material also. So again, a lot of different materials out there that can contain asbestos in a home.
Contain asbestos, wow.
And we'll just flip through a couple of these. Another issue inside a home, a lot of ceilings, plaster ceilings. If you have a damaged ceiling and you start repairing it, scraping it, sanding it, or tearing it out, some of the asbestos can be found in the skim coat of plaster, the very top layer there, the finished part of it. If you have textured spray-on paint ceilings, like the popcorn spray-on ceilings, that's suspect material for asbestos.
Are there any exceptions? I mean, would you say, like when I go through houses, I mean, does like every popcorn ceiling?
No, no.
So how can we know which one has asbestos and which one not? Is it like a product people used to buy, which was maybe less expensive, or did they buy it for different reasons? What are options, asbestos?
Right. If you look at, say, popcorn spray-on materials, it could be only 5% of it has asbestos in it. So it's not every product that has asbestos. And to look at a ceiling, you can't tell by looking at it. You actually have to take a physical sample of that, send that to a laboratory, then they'll examine it under a high-powered microscope, and they'll actually look at the fibers and identify those particular fibers to see if it is an actual asbestos-containing material. And depending on the percentage of it, would classify it as a hazardous material or just regular construction debris. But even just disturbing a small area of a ceiling like that, could be enough to contaminate a room. And the fibers, they're so small, you're talking in microns, not even visible to the naked eye. And those fibers could float in the air, become suspended in the air, and stay there for 3, 4, 5 days. They are so light. Because in every home, the air is constantly moving. Whether you're home there or not, the air is moving. And those fibers will stay suspended in the air before they will eventually fall down to the floor. So it's not something that you get in the air and boom, it's gone. So it stays for quite a long time.
Would you recommend that people who purchase a new home, let's say families with young children, would you recommend that everybody takes tests before they move in? What is your recommendation?
Probably not in every situation, but if you're going to buy a home and you anticipate doing renovations where you're going to be disturbing the ceilings, you're going to knock out your walls, replace the windows or things like that, then you would want to know if those surfaces that you're disturbing do contain asbestos. If asbestos is a great product. I mean, it was put into material to make it durable and fire resistant. So when it's in good condition, not being disturbed, it's a great product. So it's just the disturbance of it is when it becomes an issue. So if you're buying a home and you have no plans on doing any renovations,
Then you're okay. So
you're pretty much okay.
If you see, can you seal it like with paint? Like for example, with your ceiling, would you just spray paint your ceiling so it's nicely sealed?
Well, if they're in good condition, you don't have to worry about it. You can paint over them. Where you have an issue is, say, like down in your basement, you have this covering that's on your pipes. And if you see the ends that are frayed and what they call friable, now this means the fibers at this end piece right here are now really easily made airborne. That would be an area you would want to address, either by removing it, or you can put an encapsulant product over it to seal it. The only problem is if you do put an encapsulant over it, if you have to work on the pipes, now you have to dispose of the actual asbestos and the material you put over to contain it, because that's going to be contaminated. Best thing to do is just remove it if it's in an area where you're going to be disturbing it, or if it's in a bad condition.
Well, let me ask you a question. I have been selling houses for a while, and I sold quite a few homes, and this is an interesting picture. Quite a few homes with pipes covered in asbestos. I had one situation, and just recently, where the inspector said, it looked just like this. And then he said, well, if it could definitely happen that the asbestos is still wrapped around the pipes between walls. Would you recommend doing anything in such a situation, or would you really just
No, typically if it's within the wall,
okay,
it wouldn't have been banged into. There's no reason for it to be deteriorated in that condition. This is probably an area where it's been out in the open. You've hit it while you're going in and out of the basement with boxes and just normal wear and tear. That's the area of concern. If a pipe is out of the way, you're not going to hit it. It's in good condition.
It cannot expose itself. Just you leave it alone. Okay, interesting.
Just different looking materials on pipes. It may not look like it's an asbestos material. It could be look just like a cloth material on the top of it, and that is a suspect material. Actually, these ceiling tiles, drop-down ceilings, some of the older drop-down ceilings are actually suspect for asbestos also.
Same thing, if they are not broken, not ripped, you just leave them alone, and you wouldn't have to worry about it. And the same thing with pipes like this. You wouldn't
These are out of sight, out of mind, as long as they're in good condition. But if you do have a pipe leak and you now have to have a plumber come in, if they're going to move these pipes and open up the fittings, now you're going to have to remove some of this asbestos so that the plumber is not becoming affected by what he's disturbing here.
So who would I have to hire?
To do asbestos removal, you actually have to call a licensed asbestos removing company. They're trained and licensed and certified to do proper removal.
Does it have anything to do with that new law which just came out?
No, that is the new lead laws.
Lead law, okay.
That's
Next
totally
topic.
separate, Next topic, right. But yes, if they come in, they'll set up a containment. They'll actually be wearing Tyvek suits. They'll be wearing respirators. They'll bag it all up. They'll clean up the air, filter out the air, and then dispose of it properly, because you just can't throw this material out into your garbage. It has to go to a hazardous waste facility. So, but again, if it's in good condition,
nothing to
really
worry about.
Not an issue. This is a material you'll find in houses even into the 90s, vermiculite. It's like a granular insulation that's usually put in attics, and they just blow it into the spaces in between the floor joists here.
I remember seeing this, and I really only saw it once.
Again, this can go anywhere from 1950 up to almost 1990.
Okay.
So it's very prevalent out there. And asbestos is basically a mineral. It comes out of the ground. So it's mined out in basically Libby, Montana, where most of the asbestos comes from, and that's where most of the asbestos in the United States comes from.
So asbestos is a natural product?
It's a natural product.
Oh, that's new to me.
It's just like lead. It's a natural product.
It's a natural product.
So, when it's here, when it's in good condition, it's not being blown around, it's a great product. So
good to know.
So.